You wanted to introduce that Meghna's video, no? Before we start.
Yes, that's right. Okay.
Isn't that Shivani's
Okay.
book?
That is Shivani. She's the one who coordinates it.
Hi, Shivani.
Remembering the mother. Hari Om Tat Sat. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Shri Mate. Today is Akshaya Tritiya. I'm sure everybody is happy, except those who are not able to go to buy gold and silver. But you're all gold yourself, so you don't have to. In Kerala, in Malayalam, there is a saying, Mannin kodathinu kottu venum. Okay, so the thing is, Akshaya Tritiya, what does it mean? In brief, it means that it's a specific day on which many very beautiful things happened. When the Pandavas went into exile after the dice gambling and they were sent to the forest, and Draupadi went with them and she was wondering how to give food to everybody. Besides, all the rishis and people of that area would come visiting them to either bless them or reassure them that everything would be okay. And then they would, it's the practice in this country that whoever comes, whatever time they come, you have to feed them. So she was very worried about how she's going to feed these people sitting in this woods come forest, where you don't have enough food, you don't have vessels to cook them in, and not being able to take care of an atiti. Atiti means one who comes without a date. Titi is a date. So, when you say I have a date with so-and-so, it means that you fixed a time and a place and a date to meet with them. And when you have not fixed and they just land upon your doorstep, it's called an atiti. So now she thought to herself what to do. And then she, as she usually did, she prayed to Krishna. She called him in her heart and she said, now what a pickle I am in, what will I do now? And immediately Krishna came there, and the Surya Bhagavan came there. The Surya Bhagavan is the sun, that is the nourisher of the universe. And Krishna gave her this vessel, which is called the Akshaya Patra. Akshaya means never becomes less, never finishes, never decays. So it's something that's constantly there. So he tells her, in this vessel, if you cook, the food will never end. And she says, and what about tomorrow, the next day? And then he says, if you finish eating your food, then the vessel will be dry, will be over. So he said, you feed everybody and then you eat at the end. And after that, there won't be food for that day. The next day again, it'll appear. That vessel was given to Draupadi on this specific day, Akshaya Tritiya. And it so happened that a rishi came there, a very short-tempered rishi called Durvasa, with his compatriots and his people who followed him, his followers. They were sent by Duryodhana, who wanted to make mischief. He said, go and see my cousins there in the forest, just visit them and come back. So by the time Durvasa took that walk along with his disciples and landed there, he was very, very hungry. So he said to Draupadi, he said, you've got to feed me and my retinue, but I'll give you a few minutes. I'll go to the river, have a bath in the river and come back, and then we'll all sit down to eat. So she nodded her head with trepidation in her heart because she had just eaten a little bit before that, and he came a little late. So then she said, now what am I going to do? She said, because the food is over for the day, I've already eaten and cleaned the vessel. And then she's thinking of Krishna, and he comes there, and she says, thank God you're here, because I don't know what to do. I'm in such a mess. He said, we'll talk about that later. First, give me some food to eat because I'm hungry. And she was quite shocked and upset. So she said to him, now listen, here I am waiting for you to do something because Durvasa and his entourage is coming for food, and you're coming to help me, and you say, feed me. And how does that help? So he said, no, I gave you a vessel, remember? She said, yes, but you said if I ate it the last, then the food will not be there, and I've cleaned the vessel. So I said, go get the vessel and come, let me have a look. He says, so she goes and brings the vessel. And he looks inside, puts his hand in, and he pulls out one little bit of spinach, greens, and just one leaf. And then he shows it to her. He said, what sort of cleaning are you doing? You haven't cleaned it properly. There's this little greens here. And that's good enough for me, he says, and he eats it. Just one tiny little leaf. And then he says, I think I have to go. She said, wait, you haven't even told me the solution. He said, don't worry. He says, and he goes off. In a little while, Durvasa and his followers come, and they're all burping. So she's looking in astonishment, and Durvasa says, Draupadi, I'm so sorry I gave you the trouble of cooking for me. I'm feeling for some reason completely full, and all these other people with me, they are also saying that they're completely satisfied. They feel as though they've eaten up to their throats, so we cannot eat anymore, even if you give it to us. We're very sorry, but God be with you, my child. He blesses her and goes away. Now, there are two meanings here. One meaning here is that when Krishna takes the Lord, or the Supreme Consciousness takes even a little leaf, a little bit, the whole world is satiated. And that is why we have this Naivedyam in homes and in temples. The first thing that you cook, just like grace, you thank God for giving you the privilege of being able to offer him that, so that he can take it and consecrate it and give it back to you. So when something is consecrated by the divine, it becomes doubly sacred for you. So when Krishna had that little one single leaf, the entire universe was satiated. That was one thing. The second thing was, if you read in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells Arjuna about, he shows him his form and all that, and then he shows that he is not just a friend and a companion alone who was with him all these days. He is also the Supreme Consciousness, Paramatma. So Arjuna then is shocked because he's been playing around with this person who's his cousin and who he thought was a best friend. And he says, please forgive me for treating you like a friend. Now you say that you are Paramatma, and I see the whole vision of what you are. Now tell me, how do I come to you? How do I merge into you? So Krishna says, no problem. Anybody who offers me devotion, love, bhakti, they need not make an ostentatious gift. Don't have to build a huge temple. You don't have to put gold and silver on the pillars. Just a small little place for you to sit. And he says, just give me patram pushpam phalam toyam. Patram means a leaf. Just give me a leaf, or a flower, or a fruit, or the water. If you don't have water, shed your tears of devotion. Now, I mentioned this the other day. The context is to, when he talks about the leaf, it is to this context that he's referring. The way Draupadi thought she had washed the vessel, and then he removed one single leaf, and that was enough for him to come and solve her problem, though she didn't even know it. So that's the closeness of the Lord. in whichever name you call him, you can call him Allah, you can call him Jesus, the Father, Yahweh, Shiva. It doesn't matter what you call, because there's nothing other than that one supreme consciousness in the entire universe. So we have this again, another story of Agni, Vayu, and Indra. That is the the fire, the air, and the other sense organs, each one saying that they were responsible for the universe, the way it was running. So each one said how mighty he was. And they had a fight over this. And they went to Vishnu, to Brahma first, and then they went to Vishnu to handle this. And then he didn't say anything. They came back. And when they came back, they heard a voice which says, which asked them who they are. So they say, who's this voice? We've never heard this voice before. It sounds like a yaksha. Yaksha means a semi-divine being. So let's go and see who it is. So they send Vayu and Agni. Vayu, the wind goes there. Before that, Agni goes there. The fire element goes there. And this voice asks, who are you? And this fire element says, don't you know me? I'm Jatavedas. I know everything in the universe, right from the beginning till the end, what's happening, what happened, and what's going to happen. I can burn this whole world in a second. So this voice says, I didn't know you were that powerful. Here I am, keeping a piece of straw. Can you please burn this straw? And the wind, the fire blows and blows and blows, and is not able to put it out, not able to burn it. So he comes running back. And when they ask him what happened, he said, I don't know. Actually, I went, I didn't see the person, and I came back. He didn't say how he failed. Then they said, Vayu next. And then Vayu says, I'm the one that gives prana to the whole universe. Everything lives because of me. So she says, okay, here's the straw. Just blow it away. So he blows and blows and blows, and it doesn't move an inch. So he's surprised. He too thinks there's something very strange here. He comes running back, and finally they ask Indra, the enlightened mind, to go. When Indra goes, he sees a beautiful woman and he says, who are you and what's the purpose? And she says, I am Uma. Now you see, Uma is the opposite of Om. Uma, you come backwards, it's Uma. So she says, I'm Uma. And she explains how the world does not know her powers and how she is responsible for everything. So anyway, cutting it short, the Indra comes back, the enlightened mind, and the Upanishad says that where senses cannot go, not the mind, but the mind gets a vague inkling of what it is. The senses, eye, ears, all the karmendriyas and jnanendriyas, they cannot even reach her. So such is the supreme being that even the enlightened mind finds it difficult to understand, even though he comes nearer than anybody else. So the mind goes closest, but not close enough. And why? Because the chitta shuddhi is not finishing. So this is the science of Tantra. It has two basic concepts. First, that which you are seeking, the divine, the immortal being, cannot be understood by the senses or the mind. Not with logic, not by reading about it, not by hearing about it, not by doing research on it. It has to be experienced. And once you experience it, you know, oh, so okay, that's the way it's going. You get a vague feeling of what it is. Then you have the courage to take the next step and go on in that direction. And that experience needs a guru's grace. That's what I'm coming to say. So without the guru's grace, nothing is possible in the spiritual world. because Guru is necessary to remove the distorted perception. And when you go to a Guru and the Guru tells you to do various things, it might be chanting a mantra, it might be sweeping and swabbing the ashram or washing the toilets. All this is to remove our conditioning of good and bad, pleasant and unpleasant, because a mind that is cluttered with ideas and biases and prejudices is not clean enough. You have to wipe the mirror of the mind of the dust, and then only you'll see your reflection correctly. So anything perceived by the indriyas and the mind cannot see the divine. It's distorted because they are programmed by the vasanas or the old condition. Now, what is needed to get the grace of the Guru? What Swami Satyananda always said is, perfect your discipleship, sishyatvam. Sishyatvam is a state of consciousness where you don't exist. You can't say, I am a disciple. Your ego, your gender, your likes, your dislikes, your memory, your learning, your identity, all that constitutes the I in each of us. So Sishyatvam is not a communication between Guru and disciple. It's a communion between the Guru and disciple. So it's a communion between the Guru and disciple. That is, at that particular moment, there is only one being, only the Guru exists. The Sishya is not there, even though physically present. There is nothing of him there. Everything has been surrendered. So the Sishyatvam, or the quality of being a disciple, is a burning desire that your whole being, all your ideas, your ideologies, your bias, prejudice, you're prepared to do anything to learn what the truth is. And this is called abhipsa. Your whole being is burnt away, and there is only a thirst. You remember when you Krishna Rupena Samstita Namastasya Namastasya. Namastasya Namo Namaha. That is Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu. She who is in all beings as thirst. What thirst? Not thirst for money, thirst for power. It's thirst for knowing the truth, to be one with the divine, to go to your source. This is what is actually called avahan. You are inviting yourself into the presence of the mother. You're inviting the mother to come to you with the full faith that it will happen. So the question is now, what is important for Sishyatvam? The most important thing is faith, trust and faith. Because without it, we are constantly assessing and analyzing, critically evaluating. The whole of us is not there. There is one part that is there, another part from the back that is saying, don't you see what's happening? How can you trust this will happen? Now, you will see that sometimes people, not sometimes, there are many people here in this country, and I'm sure abroad also, who will just go with open hands into the world and say, he will take care of me. And you don't sit back sitting and waiting for him to take care. You work and give the best of what you can in the situation you can. Whatever else is needed for your karma yoga will come to you. That is grace. And I have seen grace between yesterday and today. So I'm saying this with a fair amount of surety. So if you're not wholly in a situation, you don't have complete and whole faith in the Guru or in God, whichever you want to call it, because both are the same, then we keep sitting on the fence. Should we not? Shall we do it now? Shall we do it later? I've got to go for a party with my friends. I already gave the date. Now, if I don't go, I'll cut a sorry face so I can get a recording. You know, that sort of thing. So if you get off the fence, then you land in the home of the Guru, not the physical home, not the geographical, emotional, physical home, the spiritual home. Because then you are part of the Guru's family. That is why it is called Gurukulam. Children are sent to the Gurukula at 7 years, meaning they are going into the family of the Guru. They become the family and they learn there to commune with the Guru. So when they leave and go, they have this method in hand. Now, the you might be willing to do it, but what about the acceptance by the Guru? You might sit there and say, please take me on as a disciple, but Guru has to see that you are there for the right reason. There are sometimes people might go there thinking, now I'll learn from this Guru and then I can set up my own ashram, something like a business model, and then I will be the Guru in such and such a place. So that's not the right reason. So when he learns that this person has come totally, completely to learn the truth, so that he can take this truth out and give it to other people who are struggling on the way. Please remember this. It's not for you, it's not for me. It is a selfless act of devotion, where you see every other struggling person on the path as the divine himself. So you are for giving this, that is the right reason. And when the Guru finds somebody with that sort of a right reason, he opens the door. Because that acceptance creates the abhipsa in you, the thirst. The door is open now, you want to go in, you want to get to know who the members of this family are who are staying there. You want to eat with them, you want to sleep with them, you want to play with them, you want to make this your sole refuge. Now, what is the meaning of opening the doors? There were two Sufi masters, Salih, who said, knock and it will open. Then there is Rabia, one of the very few and perhaps the only one, I don't know, mystic, female mystic in Sufism. And she said the door has never been shut. She said, why do you to knock? So here you would think that two people are talking in contrary terms, but you'll find that they are both right, because both are talking of the same thing. They are not talking of the door. They are talking about deep within the door is the disciple. Salih says, don't rest, go on knocking. Make an effort. It's not a question of the door opening. It is by continuously knocking, the disciple will open. That is the door. And Salih knows that the disciple is shut, and by constantly knocking, the consciousness of the disciple opens. You are the door and you are the one who has to enter. Salil is not talking about the door, he is talking about the disciple. So the thrust I'm talking about here is that each individual has to open his own heart. And that's why continuous and persistence is necessary, because no one else can open it for us. So here we have, for a tiny 2-minute break, a very beautiful dance to Ganesha. Ganesha is the son of the mother, and he represents the Pranava mantra, the Omkar, the first vibration. And he is usually, when any project is launched, anything at all, opening a hotel, starting a class, school, going to school, when you have learned a dance or a military system or whatever, when you start something or a business, you always pray to the Pranava, that is Ganesha. Ganesha is an elephant-headed deity. The head, this is symbolic, and which we can talk about at another time. I don't time now. So the dance, this girl has finished learning her dance, young girl, and she is doing what is called an Arangetram, where she is stepping on the stage for the first time as a completely learned disciple. Her name is Meghana. She's the daughter of one of the students here on the Chandi part. And she is invoking Ganesha or Ganapati to help her remove the obstacles on her dance, on her journey of dance, which will be her journey towards her spiritual goal. Shivani, go.
देवेन्द्रमौळी मन्दार मकरन्दकणारुणा देवेन्द्रमौळी मन्दार मकरन्दकणारुणा विघ्नं हरन्तु हेरम्ब चरणाम्बुजरेणवः विघ्नं हरन्तु हेरम्ब चरणाम्बुजरेणवः एकदन्तम् महाकायम् लम्बोदर गजाननम् विघ्ननाशकरं देवं हेरम्बं प्रणमाम्यहम् हेरम्बं प्रणमाम्यहम्
So thank you, Meghana. That was very nice. And may the blessings of Ganapati be on you. All of us here bless you, that your dance will lead you into the highest spiritual dimension there is. So you come to realize who you are someday. So yesterday we were talking about the pure creation. I will quickly go through that. The supreme state is Paramatman, and its Shakti together, its power together. It is non-dual, and it that is called Advaita. That is not two, only one divinity. That divinity is consciousness and its power to what it needs to do. And then you have out of that pure power, which is not yet manifested, the manifestation comes in. So you see this picture, you'll see one side of it is Krishna and one side of it is Devi. The left, as you see, it is Krishna, the right is Devi, it is one. Because there is a Sanskrit saying, Yoshitsu Lalita Devi Purusheshascha Raghava Tayo Sammelanam Krishna Lavanyam. That is the most beautiful, exquisitely beautiful woman in the entire universe is Lalita, the mother, the divine mother. The most handsome in all ways, handsome not just in looks, but in behavior, everything put together among men in the whole universe is Raghava. Raghava is Rama. And when both of them join together, what you get is a Krishna who is, you cannot call him male, you cannot call him female, you cannot call him both. He is everything. So if you see this picture, you will see how the divine is beyond form, beyond gender. But as I was telling you yesterday, he or she, according to the way we see life manifests in different forms as a woman, as a man, as a whole universe, so that the human being can learn to have, to be able to relate to the Saguna Brahman, that is the Brahman or the Paramatma or the pure consciousness with attributes. So it becomes intimate to us, becomes personal and not an impersonal energy, only because we have been trained to think yesterday, as I told you, that energy is something that we have to conquer and use for our own purposes, dominate and control. So because of that, we have certain vasanas, certain conditionings, but that's not what energy is in reality. It is a part of us, the cosmic energy, and it has its own intelligence, right from a seed to an insect to a huge tree that fruits at a particular season, goes into hibernation another time. All this together, everything has an intelligence. So this is what I wanted to bring to your attention. And I thought what I will do today is go right into the names of the Devi. And at the end, if there is time, which I think we will have because I've been told that I can go a little longer, then we'll go into the philosophy a little more. But let us not leave out the names. So we come to the 10th, Manasa Kama Makuti, that one. So you see this, Manasa Kama Makutim, Vachas Satyam Vishimahe, Pashunam Rupamannasya Mayishri, Shayatam Yashaha. By the grace of Shri, that is by the grace of this power of the divine, this mother, let all my heart desires, fervent hopes, and aspirations be fulfilled. Let prosperity and fame abide in me, and let me be blessed with abundance of food, cattle, and other riches. Bless me with truthfulness in my speech. So you see, first of all, by the grace of Shri, let all my heart desires, Manasa Kama. Manasa is the mind. When they're talking about the mind here, remember, it is translated as the heart desires. What is the difference between the mind and the heart? If you, any of you, you want to try just for a minute, think of your Ishta Devata and bring that Ishta Devata to your mind and see how fast or slow it comes. Now the same image, bring it to your heart and see how soon or longer it comes. You'll find that when the mind is used, there are so many distractions, there are so many questions. You're trying to bring in a concept, it takes a while. When you bring something to your heart, then it comes faster because the heart is far more intense and quicker in the way it acts. The heart in the Vedas, the text refers to the chitta, not the physical heart here that goes on beating tip top, but if you keep your finger at the lower part of the sternum and you chant the Omkar, keeping your finger there along with your breath, you will soon find that you will not be aware of anything else other than the vibration. So this chitta is what is called the heart. So all the desires that belong to the heart. Now, what is the heart desire? The fervent hopes, aspirations to be fulfilled. Remember the word fervent. It means an intensity. You don't say, I want to have a masal dosa. That is not a heart desire. It's just a feeling of, either an appetite or a greed or an entertainment or what you may call it. It's not a desire. Desire is something far more deeper. So when a heart desires something, it's something that means a lot to you intensely. And what does that desire do? It gives you a fervent hope that I will get it. and the feeling that once I get it, I will be content. I don't want anything else. I will be fulfilled. It is that they are talking about, and that comes by the grace of the mother. Let prosperity and fame abide in me. Prosperity has to do with the wealth of spirituality, the capacity to get rid of negative feelings like greed, anger, lust, envy, discontentment, laziness, inertia, and to have prosperity. Prosperity is to be able to be good intentioned, selfless, grateful, detached from the fruits. So you just go on being good to people. You don't try and see who is going to be nice to you and you give it to them. No, you just give spontaneously whatever you can, whatever you are able to, simply give, and give it in the name of the mother or the divine, and it will reach where it's meant to reach. So this manasa kama is the desires of the heart. And she says, um, this sukta says that all these are contained within me. She says, all your desires, whether they are of the mind, of the body, of the heart, chitta, of the soul, everything is in me because I am everything, she says. So she says, I encompass everything, and I am also the object of Vishnu's mental yearning. In other words, he longs for that Shakti, for that power. Supposing you're sitting here and your guru or the boss comes to the door, you are the man who tells you that you won a lottery ticket. Many people will be happy with that. Now you want to run to the door to see what's happening on, or that you passed an examination with honors. You want to run and go to the door and see, but unless you have the energy, you cannot get up and go. So even Vishnu, who is the pure consciousness here, she says, is longing for me. That is, for she is the object of his longing. He wants her Shakti. This is the 9-syllabled mantra, another name of us, Om Manasa Kamayai Namaha. It bestows all desires and gives wealth also on the physical level. That's the beauty of the mother. She gives you bhoga and moksha. Like a regular mother, she would feed the child with milk, she'll give him toys to play with, but eventually she will send him to school or college so that he can get a good livelihood and be of use to many other people. So according to your caliber, your stature, when you go to her, she mothers you at every dimension. Akuti, bless me with truthfulness in my speech. Akuti means a reference, referred to. So Akuti means, she says, in other words, I am speech. May I be, when you say, bless me with truthfulness in my speech, what you're saying, mother, please come and sit on my tongue and let what I say be the truth. Truth meaning the divine voice. She says, I am speech. I am the secular speech. I'm the sacred speech. I'm the Vedic speech. I'm the agamas. When pronounced with effort, when pronounced just like that, when unpronounced also, the speech that is on the tip of my tongue. Because of all that, they refer to me as Vacha Kuti. They refer to me as the speech. So here you have the 8-syllabled Om Vacha Kutyai Namaha. That when you do a meditation on that particular name, it fulfills all that is sought to be gained by sound, because vibration is speech eventually, and vibration is seen as sound. Then you have the Pashunam Rupamannasya Mayi Sri Shreyata Yashaha. The whole creation is a true knowledge. Some part of it is elusive and some part is permanent. So she's saying in the above sentence, Satyamanasya, that is, she is the truth. Because of her, you can see everything in reality, and you can decide whether this is an illusion or this is reality. What is temporary, what is permanent. This is what Viveka is all about. So in the 16, she's called Satya. The sages call her Satya, which means the truth, and it gives true results of good deeds. Now, sometimes you may say, I did something with a good intention. I said something, but the other person was so angry with me. That means that somewhere the other person picked up a vibration from inside you, which did not align itself with what you are saying. You know, in very often, sometimes you have a huge, you're getting ready to go out on a picnic or a holiday or something, and suddenly an atiti comes to your house, a cousin of an old friend or something, and in your mind you think, oh my God, I hope this person hadn't come at this time. But the minute that person comes, you turn around and say, oh wow, I'm so glad. I was thinking about you. I'm so glad you've come. It makes me so happy to see you. Now there is a misalignment between what you say and what you think. That is asatya. So she is saying, when you call her Satyam, then she is the truth of what is permanent. That is, the truth is permanent. It doesn't ever go. The untruth means that which is transient. And your Viveka to make out the difference will be very important, because then you choose your destiny. Pashunam Rupam. So the other one was Om Satyaye Namaha. This one is Om Pashunam Rupaye Namaha. Why Pashunam Rupam? Living beings exist in three states. All living beings. Either they are bound, or they are liberated, or they are always in liberation. You know, some of us, we are bound. We are born, we are in bondage to our own egos. And once that ego is reduced and goes away by her grace, we are free of the ego. We get moksha. Now, there are some people who have already attained moksha and they do not get bound at all. So these people who are not bound at all, it's one category. For all eternity, they remain unbound. And then for some people are bound and some people get moksha. All living beings are in the same state. So she says, I myself, the Devi says, am that form of concentrated consciousness of bliss. Why? Because all essential aspects of individual energies, that is your Shakti, my Shakti, are all particles of who she is. So some Shaktis are bound, some Shaktis are liberated, some are in constant liberation. We are all her particles. So she says, all essential aspects of individual Shaktis is my particles. My Agni Shakti undergoes birth in all living beings. That is the fire in me. That Shakti, the power of fire, takes birth in every being, and then the core of the physical is built around it. If you remember, we talked about Agni, the fire, and why the fire ceremony is done, because we are praying to the fire to take us ahead to the divine celestial kingdom, to the source, the various energies, and ultimately to the pure consciousness energy. So what is the fire? The fire, I said once to you, is Satya Sankalpa. The divine makes a Sankalpa, a resolution that I will create this person in this particular way. And this fire enters in you and you become that. So all your life, you will be searching for that fire within you, so that you can mold yourself according to the destiny for which you have come, and not fritter away your energy for small, temporary entertainment. So that's what she means. I am the Agni Shakti, that fire. I am the fire of the Sankalpa, the Satya Sankalpa. I have decided what you will be. And you will come around to that, if not in one birth, another birth. So the sages call her Pashunam Rupam. That is the true form of all living beings. Pashu does not necessarily mean a cow. It means anything that is alive and sentient. The Om Pashunam Rupayanami. Rupaya Namaha. 9 syllables. It gives the fruit of true realization. The idea being that you cannot help being divine because you are a particle of her. We have been brought up for some time, not always, with the idea for a few centuries now that you are here and he or she is there. How can you hope to be in the presence of something so divine and vast and omnipotent? It is like a child going to his father's company from school, and the person at the gate tells him, "You can't go in. My God, that is the director there. Have you got an appointment?" And this kid might say, "But he's my father, I can see him at any time." It's like that. And this story has come out very beautifully in the Bhagavatam, where Krishna has a friend called Sudama. They are schoolmates. And while they are in school, they both go out to pick firewood for the fire ceremony. They go out, then it starts raining and night falls and they get caught up. So they climb a tree and they sit on the tree and they say, "Let's go back to the ashram when it is daytime, when it's morning." So they're sitting there and then it's cold. And this boy, Sudama, has brought a little packet of parched rice. And what he does is there's so little of it, he thinks, "I better not tell Krishna because then there won't be enough for both of us. Not that there is enough for me also," but he takes it, puts it in his mouth and he chews. And that sound reaches Krishna. And Krishna says, "Hey, Sudama, what are you eating?" And Sudama says, "I'm not eating anything. It's just my teeth chattering in the cold." So then the morning the guru comes and they go to the Gurukulam and then they finish their studies and both leave. Years later, Krishna is acting king of Dwarka. And Sudama is a very poor, poverty-stricken Brahmin who does not have even milk to give his child. So this child comes to Sudama and he says, "All my friends have something white on their lips. When I ask them what it is, they said it's milk." What does milk look like? And Sudama's wife is very upset because she says, "You have studied with Krishna. He is now the king of Dwaraka, and here are you so poverty stricken, you can't even show the milk to the child to say this is milk. How can we bring up a child in such dire poverty?" So she says, "Go to your friend Krishna and ask him to help you and give you some finances." And Sudama says, "How can I do that to him? He's my friend. I can't go and beg for anything. But since you're saying it, I'll go because then after a long time, I'll be seeing my friend. So I'll be happy to see." So what his wife does is she gets some parched rice, which is in her house, because that's what very, very poor people, if you have nothing else, at least we'll have some rice. That rice would have dried up and they would have made it, pounded it and made it into parched rice. So she ties it up in a little bundle and then she gives it to Sudama and says, "Give this to your friend when you go." So he goes there and at the gate, he says, "I want to see Krishna." And there are guards at multiple gates along the way, and one or two of them laugh. They say, "Why, you think anybody can come and see the king? You have to get an appointment. You have to come to proper channels. What do you want? Why don't you speak to the secretary there? And then they will put you to the next in line and eventually." So Sudama he doesn't know what to do. He's so desperate and he's dying to see his friend. So while they are talking, one sentry is a little more sensitive. And he goes to Krishna and says, "There's some man who is saying that he is your classmate and he wants to meet you." And Krishna looks towards the gate. He can't see the gate, you see, but he knows in his heart that Sudama has come. Now, this is the heart. You know in your heart when somebody you love dearly is there beside you. physically or not. You don't know it with the mind. So Krishna goes running to the gate. He doesn't say send him in. He goes running, he meets Sudama and he hugs him and he says, I'm so happy, such a long time since I saw you. He makes Sudama sit on his throne and he washes his feet, and his wife Rukmini, the queen, brings water and rose water to wash Sudama's feet, and Sudama is looking with amazement and tears flowing down his eyes and tears flowing down Krishna's eyes also. And then he sits and he talks, and then they're talking for a long time about old days. And then suddenly Krishna says, hey, I know you brought me something. But first, Sudama now is feeling embarrassed to give him this little parched rice to a man who's a king. So he doesn't take it out. So Krishna grabs that from his side and he says, you brought me something. He takes it and he puts one mouthful and he eats it. And then he said, wow, this is just like old times. And he takes another handful and he eats it. When he comes to the third handful, Rukmini, that is Mahalakshmi, who is come as Rukmini, stops it. She says, listen, with the amount that you have taken in of this parched rice, all the wealth will flow out to this man. And that is a good thing to happen. But if you take even the third handful, there'll be nothing left to give anyone else who comes. So Krishna laughs and then he feeds Sudama, lets him sleep in a very fine bed and all that. Next morning, Sudama says goodbye and he goes. He doesn't tell Krishna anything about his poverty-stricken situation because he feels bad. How can I come to a friend and beg? So then he walks home feeling quite happy that he saw his friend. He doesn't have any regret. That itself is enough to give him fulfillment. Tushti, I've seen my friend. So, and it's no ordinary friend, you see. So then when he goes to his village, there's a huge palace standing where his house was. His house is demolished. So he's so shocked that what happened to my house? It was only a hut. But who demolished this? And where's my wife? And from inside, he hears the tinkling of anklets. And a very beautiful woman with ornaments comes and stands on the door, and he realizes this is his wife. So he says, what's the meaning of all this? She says, I don't know. Yesterday you went to see Krishna. By evening, our house has become like this, and I've got all the jewelry, and the sun comes from inside, looking nice and fully fed, and becomes, Father, you know, we've got a lovely chariot also. We can go wherever we want. And so this is the story of Krishna. That is, when you go to the divine and you are in love with the divine takes care of you. So this is what they mean by saying that, let me be blessed with abundance of food, cattle. What is cattle? Cows. Those days, agricultural community, cattle meant illumination. So when you talk about cattle, go means the cow. Go also means pranava. Go also means light, illumination. It means that let me be blessed with more and more illumination of the spiritual path and other riches. Other riches are the siddhis that will help me progress and walk towards you. Like Sudama went, it's the roadmap towards you. And bless me with truthfulness. So you have the Pashunam Rupaya Namaha. Then you have Annasya Yashaha. There are two types of enjoyment. Material, which is produced by the gunas, and non-material produced by the 6 attributes. Remember, yesterday I told you the Tejas, Bala, Viryam, those attributes of the divine, the Kalyana gunas. And she says, all these products that I have, which anybody enjoys, is a product of my Soma Shakti. Soma is the moon. Moon is a delight of the mind. Whatever gives satisfaction and happiness, this is called the that which gives you the satisfaction and the glow, and it's a glory in all created things. That what you need, what you want will come to you. You don't have to worry that I have to make, I have to keep, I have to preserve, where it has to go, it will go. So she's called Om Annasya Yashase Namaha. All that's 9 syllable letters. With this, you get all objects of enjoyment. Then the next one, 11. You can look at the pictures as I tell you, because then also the main. Okay, Mataram. Mataram is no Kardama, son of Shri. I welcome you heartily. Bring along your mother who's adorned with lotus garlands. Reside with me. Also request the mother Shri to reside in my home. Now, Kardama was he is associated with the earth element. He is one of the mind-born sons of Shri, of Lakshmi, because he and they call her Mata, Mataram. You see that word? Why Mataram? Ma means measuring. That is why Maya. She measures the infinite into finite forms. Mataram, because she is the principle of measuring. She says, I measure everything. I am Vidya acquired according through the senses. Whatever you learn, whatever you're listening to, whatever I am talking to you, whatever I am learning by talking to you, all this is Vidya and it belongs to her. Doesn't belong to us. With Pralaya, I embrace all creations within myself. I carry the whole of creation across the shoreless ocean of created existence. I underline that specifically so I won't forget to tell you. Why is it shoreless? Existence or samsara is said to be shoreless because there is no refuge. Once you get into it, your ego, where your ego is, that is where when you get attached to your ego, that is where your samsara is. You'll get attached to this piece of place where you're born. Your parents, will say my parents, then you get attached to your classmates, your teacher, your school, and your college, your business, your friends, your circle of business associates, your ashram, your guru. Now, remember, I'm not saying don't love your guru. I'm saying don't be attached to the guru. It's my guru. No, Gurutvam is there. That is like rain. It doesn't fall only on one roof. It falls everywhere. Who is receptive gets it. So now to the shore. If you have a shore also in samsara, in the worldly existence material, it's just a temporary rest. You've got to come back again and get caught into it. So you have to go to a particular place where the beyond the reach of the ocean of imperfection. So it's not to the shore. You have to go beyond that. How do you go beyond that? She says, I float in the minds of all living things. I give you, when she floats in the mind, sometimes I tell my grandson here, I said, he'll say, who's giving me candy? Papa brought it. I say, no. Krishna became a thought in your papa's mind and he told him, go get a candy for your son. So it's like that, that which is a fact, that she is a thought in you. She is a feeling in you. She makes you come and sit in this class. She makes me come and sit in this class. We could be somewhere else, maybe in a hospital if she didn't will it. So I float in the minds of all living beings. I am transformed into clouds. I flood the entire creation with rainwater. What does that mean? What she's talking of, flooding the whole creation with grace. Yesterday I told you the clouds are Purusha, and the grace that falls is the mother, the rain. Yogis know me as mother of all creatures because I feed them, I nourish them. So the 5-syllable mantra, which is very powerful, is Sri Matre Namaha. She says she created samsara. You can't say she didn't do it, she did. But she didn't tell you to go and get attached to it. She gives you food. Whenever you need, you get the food. She didn't tell you to go and buy 20 kilos of rice and keep it in your house and don't give it to anybody because later on nobody will give it to me. You don't trust her enough to take that risk. So this is what she's saying. I've created it, but I didn't tell you go and get attached to it. It's because you are attached, you get into misery and suffering when you don't have what you need to. If you had trusted me enough, you need not have bothered. I would have taken care of everything. So this is Om Matre Namaha. You trust me like a mother, I will be your mother. Om Padma Malini. Padmataram Padma Malini. Correct. Now we have many nadis in the body. Among all these nadis, there are 3 very important nadis: Pingala, Ida, and Sushumna. Pingala is the physical, the vital nadi. Ida is the mental force, the mental energy. And Sushumna is the spiritual energy. When Pingala and Ida are balanced, that is, when your speech, your actions, and your thoughts are aligned with the truth, then Sushumna opens up. Then she says, there is a nadi called Sushumna, and that nadi is called Vishnu Shakti. It is who I am. I am Sushumna, she says. Traveling through me, all beings get liberation, the final liberation. I am Sushumna. You have to travel through me. Running from the navel to the top of the head above the Sushumna Shakti are 32 lotuses called Adhara. Now we are talking about 3 or 4 lotuses in the techniques that we do in Kundalini Shakti, but there are many, many, many. Wherever there are 2 nadis that crisscross, there is a vortex of energy, and that vortex of energy is called a chakra or a lotus. So she's talking of 32 specific lotuses called Adhara. And since I pervade them all, I'm shown as wearing a garland of lotuses. She's in every chakra. 32 is the mantra of Narsimha. Many riks are in the same chandas. So I incorporate Prakriti, that is the whole material world, Purusha, consciousness, and time. So putting all this together, I am the mantra Padma Malini. So 8 syllables, Om Padma Malini Namaha, which gives the fruits of all good karma. Now 12th one. 12th next. Apasrajantu snigdhani chiklita vasane grite. Nicha Devi Mataram Shriyam Vasaya Me Kule. Oh Chiklita, this is the second Manasa Putra of Devi, and it refers to the element water. Reside in my home, and she says where the child is, the mother will come running anyway. So once you reside, please be the cause of your mother coming to stay with me and with my generations to come. Let the life-giving waters create harmonious relations among all. Pushkarini. I alone lead time as eternity, she says. Eternity is also time. So if you have seen a picture of Vishnu, yesterday you saw a picture in which he is lying down in Yoga Nidra and she is at his feet. There is yet another picture in which you will see a stalk of a lotus coming up from his umbilicus and becoming a lotus. And on top of that lotus is the creative force of Brahma with the four heads. So she is called Pushkarini because I cause all things to wax in beauty, fame, and wealth. If you see a seed and you see as it becomes bigger and bigger, it becomes a beautiful tree. The tree has lovely leaves. Some fall during the winter, some come up. Then you have flowers, and those flowers become fruit. So it is a slow waxing of beauty and glory that happens in all beings. So for this, she is called Pushkarini, because as time she makes these things happen. So the seventh syllable, mantra, Om Pushkarinyai Namaha. It yields the fruits of all round prosperity, abundance. Abundance, so that you may be able to give to everybody else who is wanting. You have enough, you take what you need, and after you take what you need, the remaining you give it to those who don't have, the poor, the impoverished, or people who are not able to eat even if they are very wealthy because they have some illness that prevents them eating. Now you can see the stalk here coming from down from the ocean and coming up to the, which these people are looking at, the rishi and the lady. So this is Pushkarinye Namaha Yashti. She says, I'm the cherished aim of all goals. Wherever you go, whatever you want, eventually you want the power to get that particular thing, whatever it is. I'm always in union with Hari. That is a sustaining force. The force is she. The sustenance is he. I am the support of all the worlds. I fulfill all desires, and I am the substratum of Prakriti. Out of her, she makes the universes. So, this is the 12th. The 12th one, I think, is the next one. Ardram Pushkarinim Pushtim Pingalam Padmamalinim Chandram Hiranmayim Lakshmin Jata Vedoma Avaha. O Jata Vedasa, this is Agni Durga. Kindly invoke for me Lakshmi, the supreme ruler, who is beautiful like the moon that shines, radiant like the yellow burnished gold, brilliant like the sun, adorned with lotus garlands and gleaming ornaments, who is served by the elephants, who is compassionate and who nourishes all. So you see her here in this picture as one who is in charge of the universe. The universe is below her. You can see the earth. She looks like burnished gold. And she's so brilliant like the sun. That's a picture they have given in the middle. And you don't see the lotus garlands because that is covering her. So here you have Pingalam. That is due to her complexion of pure gold. She looks tawny in color, a brownish sort of. In the ancient times, she said, she gave Pinga. There was a king of Yakshas called Pinga, and she gave him a lot of wealth because he was a very generous person and he needed the abundance to rule. So he was a king of Yakshas and she gave him great wealth. So because she gave him Pinga, wealth, he addressed her as Pingala. In other words, she was giving him the vital energy for himself and for his entire kingdom. So she's the 7-syllabled Omkar is Pingala, Om Pingalayai Namaha. It gives yogic power and prosperity. Then you have Tushti. I delight Vishnu with all my attributes. I am delighted by Hari's attributes. All beings find joy in me, who praise me with offerings of their deeds. This is a Hiranmayim. That is, remember I told you the Harini Hiranmayim is the Hiranmayi is the golden person. Jata Vedoma Avaha Chandram. All this is because of the Chandra. Later on, I'll tell you about Chandra or Soma. She says that 6-syllable letter gives complete fulfillment to anybody who repeats this verse. Om Tushtaye Namaha. Satisfaction to the mind is what you don't feel that you want anything else. Then 14. Okay. Ardram Yah Karinim Yashtim Suvarnam Hemamalinim Suryam Hiranmayim Lakshmim Jatavedo. Then you put it off. That's okay. Suvarna. Is the time up? What's the time? Anyway, whatever the time is, we have some little extra time. Suvarna means two words. Varna means akshara, words. Varna also means color. So she's saying, I take successful sadhakas to conditions or absolute heaven, which is conditioned. Even heaven is conditioned because you go up, you finish what is your good deeds, and you come back to earn some more. As the eternal Saraswati, remember Narayani is Saraswati. As the eternal Saraswati, Maha Saraswati, I express everything beautiful. So the learned Brahmins call me Suvarna. That is the beautiful vibrations, the beautiful syllables, the beautiful speech, the Varna, the different types of, the diverse types of speech. And it also means colorful, because different colors, as colors in the universe, and as colors of the words that you speak. Some words can be white and shanta, some words can be red and stimulate you to violence, some can be yellow and make you feel sublime. So this is what she's talking about. And success and prosperity you get with this. So Om Suvarnaye Namaha. Then you have Hemamalini. Hemamalini. Yashti Suvarnam Hemamalini. As the earth, I support the holy golden mountain. Which is a golden mountain? There is a place where Brahma dwells. And that particular place is generally called the golden mountain. So Hema Meru it is called. It's a dwelling for Brahma. Brahma is the creative force. When you have a golden mountain, a mountain is something, the height of something, not a golden flat surface. The golden crest of your creative spirit. That is the dwelling place of Brahma, or the creativity. So Brahma praised me as Hema Malini. Then here you have the 8th syllable, Om Hema Malinye Namaha. It gives the power of self-control. Why? Because Brahma is the creative spirit. Creativity needs a self-restraint too, like anything else, because otherwise you will just go off tangent and you'll just be saying lots of beautiful words, but with no particular use for it in communication or communion. Sometimes it reminds me of a certain politician who uses the most complex words and people don't understand. Anyway, Surya, Hiranmayim Suryam Hiranmayim Lakshmim Jatavedo Avaha. Surya is the sun. The sun, you can see it here. The sun that is necessary for all creation to live. Now, in the Vedic language, when they say Surya, they're not talking of this physical sun. It is only an symbolic. They are talking of the luminosity of the supreme Brahman or the consciousness, which is in its, without which nothing in the universe can be there. So this is what they are talking about it. And she is the creator of everything of manifestation. So she says the Tattva Padati, that is the Tattva, the amness or something. Yesterday I was telling you, if you talk of sugar cane, the sugar in it is the Tattva of the isness. This is sugar cane. Why? Because it is sweet. If it was bitter, you wouldn't call it sugar cane. So the course of the cosmic principles, which are called Tattva Padati, she says, I delight in them by giving enjoyment and liberation according to what people deserve. All created principles, not just human beings, animals, birds, even rocks, the waters, everything, she says, I control the course of created cosmic principles together with living beings. Now, this is about ecology she's talking. Everything has its place and everything is made for a certain purpose. You can't say, I don't like that particular thing because it's coming in my way of comfort, so I'm going to break it into pieces. So she's saying, I control the course of created cosmic principles together with the living beings through the influence of time. Yesterday, something was a stone. Tomorrow, it can be a powdered granite. Another day, it can be the walls of a house. Another day, it can slowly become the people living in that house. That a person living in a house may become like stone, insensitive. Or the stone might become like a person full of consciousness and sensitivity. And maybe it will be a stone on the steps of a holy place where people step on it reverently. So you never know. So she says, because of time, I control the course of all created cosmic principles together with living beings through the influence of time. I am in the orb of the sun in the form of Surya Shakti. That middle thing there, that round thing in the middle of that. That is the orb. And in the middle, she is the power of Surya. They call me Surya. Not Surya, Surya. So this is the 6-syllabled letter Om Suryaye Namaha, which brings all desired fruits, whether it's Bhoga or Yoga. Now, these are the 52 names. As the sutta contains a string of names of myself, Shri, its absolute deity, she says, its significance is unlimited, like the countless divine attributes of Janardana, the Supreme Consciousness. I've associated each name and mantra with specific benefits. The wise will know, remember here she's saying, the wise will know whether they are capable of fulfilling all desires, including liberation. So, when she says it gives you all desires that you want, it gives you the yogic qualities, it gives you fame. She's saying that is just dividing into the limited aspects of that mantra. But when you go deep into that, any of the one mantras, that will give you everything and liberation. That's why she said the wise will know that. So there is no thing of, you got that mantra, I got the other mantra. So even I cannot list all of the attributes of this sutta. She's saying, this is Mahalakshmi, the indescribable and the limitless one. She's saying, even I cannot list, there's so much more. So Vedic scholars and tantric sadhakas use this as their sole refuge. When a person deviates, when a person desires to go into lengthy study to it, then it fulfills the person's desires, and having self-restraint, the person takes refuge in the Supreme God. And they should say with the heart, that is with your heart, with your full intensity and feeling, you should mean it, and you should say, as far as my ability and character permit, I refrain from harming any living being and have goodwill to all. Okay, ahimsa. Despite this, remember, despite this, I call you to mind to destroy any sins I commit inadvertently because I am lazy, weak, and ignorant. So you see, this is the Sri Suktam, and this is what the Devi says. She gives you that big window of opportunity, even when you have no faith in yourself. She says, it's okay, just surrender to me. I will do what needs to be done. You don't have to bother. Now, you're now my responsibility. That's what she's saying. So this is that. And look at the slide. Okay. So let's see this. There is a video now. And I want you to see it. This is about a woman who's meditating on the Devi. And you will see her coming in different forms. She comes in different forms, and you will see the evolution of the sadhaka as she sees it in her antakarana, in her inner part. This one is the last one. O Jataveda, the names are finished, but O Jataveda, that is Agni, Durga Agni, I pray to you, let Lakshmi never ever go away from me. Let Lakshmi be with me forever. With her grace, I shall gain wealth, that is spiritual wealth in plenty, abundance of gold. Gold means the ornament of Shri. One of the ornaments is humility. So she's called Pri. Pri means the shy one, the modest one. Even though she's the whole universe magnified, she doesn't stand up and say, hey, you know what, all this is me. So abundance of gold, cattle, that is illumination, horses, prana shakti, servants and followers, that your negative qualities that you may have within you will be removed, and small positive qualities will come in and help you at different times. Your good intention, your generosity for some small person somewhere around that will come and become like a follower, always with you. You'll always feel generous. You'll be able to deal with many things in small ways, and that itself will be enough to bring her into you and to reside in you for all time and in your hopes. So this is the Sri Suktam. Let us see this one video. Try to temporarily identify with that person who is doing sadhana. One.
विग्रहा त्रिनयना माणिक्यमौली स्फुरत् तारानायक शेखरा स्मितमुखी मामीनमक्षोरुहा पाणिभ्यामलिपूर्णरत्नचषकम् रक्तोत्पलम् बिभ्रति सौम्यां रत्नघटस्थरक्तचरणां ध्यायेत् परामम्बिकाम् सान्निपातिकज्वर सततज्वर विषमज्वर ग्रह नक्षत्र दोषाञ्चान्या हर हर काली सर सर गौरी गम गम विद्ये आले माले काले बन्धे भज भज विद्ये मख मख विद्ये नाशय नाशय पापम् हर हर दुःस्वप्नम् विध्वंसय विध्वंसय विघ्न विनाशिनि रजनी सन्धे बन्धु भिनागे मानस्तोषे मानसवेगे शङ्खिनी चक्रिणी वज्रिणी गदिनी शूलिनी अपमृत्यु विनाशिनी विश्वेश्वरी द्राविडी केशवदैते पशुपति सहिते धीममर्दिनि गमनी कामिनी शबरी किराती वाचक्री ॐ ह्रं 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 गुरु गुरु
I wanted you to see this because this is what is happening, that you think all the negative things that are happening outside, the crisis, the catastrophes, everything is happening within you at the same time. It's not just happening outside. And this is the whole purport of the Chandi part. If you see this girl, she goes through, she's not just doing asanas when she's standing on her head or doing the other things. These asanas signify something to her. Bending backwards, bending forwards, head on the ground, feet up. These are all gestures. These asanas are like mudras. They are symbolic of something within you. And she's going through all that. And then you see that there is this part of her that comes right in the beginning and takes the lamp, the Ashirvad from the flame that comes, that is brought to her like you do in the temple. This is taking the grace of Devi, and with the grace of Devi, she goes through while sitting in meditation all the things that come up in the chitta, the deep aspects of hatred, anger, suffering, misery, and joy in from time to time. And the mother, she is the mother also. Remember, you are the mother, the unpolished mother. So the mother comes there and removes the negativity. So when she eventually comes to, you will see her Atma, her spiritual self, walking into the temple as the Devi herself. So this is the purport of the Sri Suktam. If you, I think we should stop with this at the moment, because once you go on, then there will be no stopping. There's plenty to talk about. Maybe another time we can do it. So now just sitting quietly. Bring your attention, sit in a cross-legged position. Take your attention to the sounds in the world outside. Listen to all the different sounds. Don't analyze sound. Don't judge. Don't look at it as pleasant or unpleasant. They are just vibrations in nature. Just let all these vibrations pass by you like people walking through a marketplace and moving on. Don't get attached to any sound because it is pleasant or unpleasant. Now bring your attention inside the room in which you are sitting. These four walls around you give you the illusion that this is your home. If the four walls were not there, you will have a bigger home under the sky. So be aware of these four walls, which seem to protect you, but actually are putting you in a bondage to a particular space. Listen to any little sounds, any smells that you can smell in that room. This is your time to be with yourself, to see yourself in a new and different way, to heal, to transform yourself, and to see yourself as a divinity. Bring your awareness to your physical body, sitting still and silent. Let your back be straight. Relax in your posture. If you find it difficult to sit cross-legged, you can stretch out your legs, or if you're sitting on a chair because you're older and find it difficult, then let your legs hang down or place it on a stool. What is important is not the physical body, but the stiram and sukham. Are you comfortable and are you stable? That's what matters. Ahimsa starts from the body. You don't hurt your physical body because it's your vehicle. Like you don't hurt your car. You don't go just out of the blue and scratch it or hit it with a stone. So feel your whole body and take your attention from the top of the head to the tips of the toes. Slowly bring your attention to the top of your head where the feet of your guru rest. Come to your forehead, your eyebrow center, that is the Prayaga, where a Kumbhabhisheka happens. The joining of Ida, Pingala, and Shushumna happens there. The Ganga, Yamuna, and Saraswati. This is the Prayaga. Come to the right eye and to the left eye. The nose, tip of your nose. Many people meditate on the tip of the nose because the Kundalini Shakti climbs up to over the kshetra of the nose to the eyebrow center. The nose and the nostrils are very important. That is why, because they carry the prana shakti inside. So be aware of your 2 ears, right side, left side. They carry all sounds, all vibrations, all mantra chanting vibrations into your whole body. Respect your ears. Let them not get sunk into some gossip or obscene talk that can hurt someone out there, and beyond that, hurt yourself. Your upper lip, lower lip, right cheek, left cheek, chin, front of the neck, front of the chest, front of the abdomen. Right arm, left arm, right forearm, left forearm, right hand, thumb, second finger, third, fourth, little finger. Left hand, thumb, forefinger, third finger, fourth finger, little finger. Palm of the hand, back of the hand. Right side of the chest, left side of the chest. Right side of the abdomen, left side of the abdomen. Down to your hips, first your waist, right hip, left hip, right thigh, left thigh, right knee, left knee, right calf muscle, left calf muscle, right ankle, left ankle, heel, sole, big toe, right side, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, little toe. Left side, heel, sole, big toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, little toe. Be aware of the whole of the right side of your body, the whole of the left side of your body. Take your attention to the back of your body, starting with your right heel and then the left heel, right calf muscle, left calf muscle, back of the thigh, right side, left side, right buttock, left buttock, lower back, middle back, upper back, back of the neck, back of the head, top of the head. Now see your whole body as you would look at an old house where you're living for years. Now see the foundation of your body, the Adhara lotus, Adhara chakra, Mooladhara. Right below the tip of the spine is a beautiful crimson lotus that is shining red and seeming to spin around itself. Above this is your first step at the tip of your tailbone, the Swadhisthana chakra, vermilion in color. Spinning around, and here and there you see little drops of water looking like little gems on the petals of the lotus. Bring your attention upwards to the back of the navel, Nabhi chakra, Manipur, And in the navel is a lotus spinning, and it is like fire, but cool. On its petals also there are droplets that seem to stay where they are, but as it turns, as it goes round and round, they get thrown out into the atmosphere. Then come slightly higher at the level of your heart, but in your spine, you have a blue lotus, bluish green, blue lotus, Anaha chakra, like turquoise, again spinning with droplets on it. Come higher up to the spine at the level of your throat, a purple lotus. This too is spinning with little droplets of water. From this is Vishuddhi. Above this, at the eyebrow center, is the Agnya chakra, silvery gray, 2 petals. Now come back to the Muladhara, the crimson, and see these as steps of a staircase leading higher and higher. And as you look at the lowest step, which is crimson in color, the lotus is spinning, and for a second it stops, and 2 little beautiful feet step on this lotus. The lotus stays without moving for a while, just a few seconds. And these 2 step feet move on to the next step, the vermilion lotus. And the feet are so delicate and pink that as it steps, the petals do not get crumpled. They are strong enough to hold those little feet that seem so light. Then these little feet climb up to the yellow Manipur chakra. It seems there is fire all round, but these feet are not burned. Then the feet step into the Anahat chakra, blue, sometimes green, bluish green in color. And as the little feet with silver anklets steps into this Anahat chakra, you hear the tinkling of the anklets for the first time. In the distance, you might hear a flute. And the anklets are jingling as if the little feet are dancing. Then the feet step up to the next lotus, the purple lotus. And from there to the silver lotus, silver gray, more silver than gray. And then you start seeing the form of this little girl with a beautiful rose skirt garlanded by lotuses, exquisite looks, smiling at you, as if she is saying, you didn't know that it was me all the time. From there, she moves onto the top of your head, A little above your head, there is a 1,000-petaled lotus. You cannot, it's multicolored, but you cannot see the many colors because it's just light. You only see her vaguely sitting on that lotus with her feet placed on your head. Feel the feet on your head. And these feet are also the feet of your Guru. She is the Guru Rupini. The Guru's feet carry all the vibrations of truth, and these vibrations are placed as grace on your head today on Akshaya Tritiya. It will never become less. It will only keep increasing, undecaying. And you see that golden dust of the feet on your head, from above your head. And then see her slowly stepping down, going back down the various steps of the chakras, which are joined together by a golden central cord. She goes down full of effervescence, laughing, happy that she has rested a bit. She comes back to the purple Vishuddhi, then to the blue Anahat, then to the Manipur yellow, vermilion Swadhisthana, crimson Mooladhara. And then as you see, look at her, your body is expanding and the Mooladhara chakra is expanding with it. And the light in the Mooladhara, this deep crimson light that she is, which is a reflection of her luminosity, is your soul. This is your soul. In your own heart, do a pranam to that soul, your Atma. A light that will never stop burning, is irrespective of whether your body is there or not. Bring that flame to your heart, and in that flame, visualize your Ishtadevata. Whichever form you visualize, it will still be the mother. So you don't have to feel worried that it's another form. Every form is the form of the mother. Keep that flame alive. It will never dim. Bring your attention back to the physical body, the breath that is flowing through your physical body, the space that your body occupies, the space around your body, the four walls. Imagine that the walls are falling down and you're in the open space, free and liberated from all your fears and anxieties and apprehensions. Then you feel a pair of arms holding you, and you turn round and look into the smiling face of the Divine Mother. She's holding you as a mother would hold a child, blessing you, smiling at you, and you become fearless and completely at peace with yourself. She's telling you, I am in you and I will never leave. Now dissolve all images. What you saw was a manifestation. What you don't see is a non-manifestation, but still a presence. Dissolve all images. Bring your attention back to the space around you, the open space, the room in which you are sitting, and realize that the key to stepping out of the room is in your hands. All you need is to chant the Omkar. That is the key. With great devotion, chant the Omkar, and you will see the doors of your heart open. Breathing in, let's chant Om 3 times. And as you chant, send out the grace that is given to you all over the world and dedicate it to the Mother so that she will take it and give it to whoever needs that grace. As you give, dedicate it to her, more will fill you. So with the Omkar, send it out with all your love, her love in you, all her healing in you, all her comfort in you. Send it out with the mantra, and more will fill you as this goes. Now we'll chant Om 3 times out loud together. Breathing in. Om. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om. Hari Om Tat Sat. So we'll meet tomorrow again. Tomorrow, I suggest you light a lamp in your room. If you haven't lit it today, we'll have just a meditation. Well, something pleasant, whatever you like. It is a ceremony in the sense of, today is Akshaya Tritiya. Always the second day is very important. The first day, the Guru will teach you when a Guru teaches you, not now. And the second day, you have to remember it so that the teaching is established in your heart, not in your mind. So tomorrow we'll have a little meditation with the heart. If you have a picture of your Guru, you can keep that on the table next to you. Light a lamp in front of it. If you have the picture of the Divine Mother, it can be Mahalakshmi, it can be Durga, it can be Sita, it can be Radha, it can be the Virgin Mary, anything, everything is the mother. So you place a picture of that also if you like, place some flowers in front of it, and we will start the meditation tomorrow. Hari Om Tat Sat. May all of you be blessed.